Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. We've got Dr. Tanko Sununu here with us. He is the Minister of State for Education. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
1 year on, after you became a minister, I know you may have got your targets, but in the minds of people, they will be wondering now, why should we even keep Dr. Tanko or the minister in that sector of education? Because they will say, look, of what impact have they been? So tell us now. Has there been any impact whatsoever? What have you been doing in the last year?
Well, I think this question, people keep on asking, why doctor, why lawyer in an educational
no, not the
sector?
Qualification.
Yeah.
Just talking about what the ministry
has
achieved.
Yes, I know. I just want to make a background and to say that, well, we've tried to do a lot when we came in. We are guided by at least 3 or 4 basic things. One is the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that places education under the concurrent list. And we have the understanding in that regard we require a very strong collaborative effort between state, local government, and federal government, with federal government setting the policy and then supervising the quality assurance of the educational sector and whatever have you done, and carrying people along in terms of development policy. And we also came with the notion that, look, we cannot assume that the national should just cook and send it to the state to just consume. So we came up with the concept of a strong collaboration, where whatever we are going to develop will start and end up with all of us, so that we have a document that is owned completely by us. That's one, the Constitution. We're also guided by the fact that the President came up with 8-point agenda, which he has put together through a strong actions in such a way to renew the hope of average Nigerians. And then in that 8-point agenda, there is also a specific area which addresses the special focus on social welfare, education, and health. And then we put all those, and the President also go ahead to ask us to sign an undertaking that we are going to deliver that to the society and general Nigeria, so that we can have a quality of education he desired for average Nigerian. And then we also came to look at we have a policy, the National Policy of Education 2013. We also review it, the provision and what have you, and then assess where we are. Finally, we receive briefing from interministerial, from our department and interministerial agencies, and then most importantly also the development partners within the country, then they also briefed us. Now, on seeing and identifying the gap, we said the best way for us is to see how can we develop a roadmap that will encapsulate all these 4 aspects that I earlier mentioned, so that we can have it as a working document, which we did. And then we also, as I said, through a strong collaboration, everybody was part of it, local government, state, and then at the federal level, which we also supervise that. Now, and we find that that is a really huge document. And we say, okay, can we still go further down to narrow it? We develop a 1-year plan so that we can see, and that most importantly in that plan, we also have an M&E component, which will monitor, evaluate, so that we can assess our progress. And then when we find that also, we say, okay, can we also have a specific goal? And then we develop a goal in a form of project that we call DOTS, D-O-T-S. The D will stand for the data repository of all the institutions, students, teachers that we have in Nigeria, so that we'll be able to find the gap. What is the state of primary school in so ward, in so local government, and what is the state of our university in Okao, in Amfodio? You understand? We also want all that data so that we can have adequate planning.
But the thing about that is...
What? Sorry, you're saying dots, yes.
Yes, D-O-T-S.
Yes.
Dot project.
Okay.
Oh, I'm coming to the O is for the out-of-school children, which is a very strong menace in the country, and we have just seen the impact of what we have been saying in the last protests that happened. You find that the school age bearing, that is to say that from the almost 6 to 15 dominated this. You see even a 7-year-old child leading a protest. So is
that your ministry failing in that regard?
No, anyway, what I'm saying is these are the issues that we are. That's why we came. We are not failing. I'm trying to tell you what made us to conceptualize our activities to develop the DOT project.
Okay.
And then we now go into the component of the DOT. And then we say, okay, if you have a data, you also have students, out-of-school children, you are returning back to school, you also have existing that. The most important component is human resource for education, and that is the teachers. And so the T stand for teacher welfare, teacher training and retaining capacity building, what have you that we also discuss about the teaching. And then we say, okay, even if you have teachers, you have children, you give them the knowledge, you give them the morality they deserve. If they lack skill, you are still going back to where you are. So that is the S component of the dot. So that will arm them with a strong skills.
Skills.
Yes, so it involves skilling, reskilling, and upskilling. So it's that if you have out-of-school children, you return back to school, you combine them with the infrastructure development, and you have a better teachers to train them, then you must arm them with skills. Because the observation is here is that...
My apologies. The challenge with that is people don't even know. The example, Kano, the skill center produced or created by the federal government, set up by the federal government to upskill the people, as you say.
Yeah.
They vandalized it. And it's not something that was just built. Someone even made mention that it's something that's coming.
Yes, this is what I was saying.
Just a second.
Yeah.
So what is the... So it means that the communication link is lost at some point.
You see, this is what we are saying. You see, if you say you are renewing hope, it means that there is a hope before. That has suffered over time. And you want to now restore it, rejuvenate it. And that is the concept of Mr. President. Nigeria were hopeful before, but with time, things get deteriorating. And people gradually begin to lose hope.
Let's even look
now
at
we are restoring the hope.
Let's look at your own dots that you just told us now.
Yes.
Because people would they judge your ministry differently.
Yes.
Probably part of it will be these dots. In terms of the out-of-school children,
yes,
has it gone down? Because UNICEF put the figures about a little over 20 million about 8 months ago.
UNICEF tends to put it into 20 million, and I quite agree that there are a lot of disparity. If you go to order, you make data, you find that...
What is Nigeria's data? What data is your ministry relying on?
You see,
how many are there?
We have a data in under universal basic education of 10.6 million out-of-school children. You understand? But it also depends if you base yourself institutional or general public. You understand? So we said, okay, we also accept that of the UNICEF because of the wider parameters used. You understand? And we say, okay, let's also accept, even if it is 10.6 to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that is not acceptable.
No,
yes. That's why you find
it's a little confusing.
If you look, yes.
You say UBEC data is what,
10.6. Yes.
But you also accept the wider one of
UNICEF,
because which is 20
you see, if you are taking data, it depends on what are the parameters you use. You can segregate your data to be age groups, say 0 to 15. How many of them are out of school children?
So what is
age related?
The overall figure, the whole picture?
The overall figure is 20.5 million.
That
is
so we're accepting that one.
We're accepting that, and we say we should say if we accept it. Now, what are we doing? I think that's the most important.
So has it gone down? What have you done to reduce it?
This is what I'm going to explain, and that's why I'm here, and that's why you invite me. So that we now go to discuss.
Let's hear you.
Yes. You see, one weekend we realized that the out-of-school children are so, this is alarming. And we said, what is the reason? And we look at the reason and we find the reason. And we say, okay, how do we now approach it? One, if you look at it, there is one infrastructural deficit. Children want to go to school, but there are no classes. And on our own, we'll say, okay, let's start from basic. And then we started constructing school. And then we say, okay, there are a lot of online parlor at the Universal Basic Education Commission because state refused to pay matching grant. And we now, okay, the best way we can do is to develop a strong advocacy tool, and which we have been utilizing, going to state meeting with the commissioner, meeting the governor, addressing governor's forum and rest. And as of today, the uptake of their matching grant component of the Universal Basic Education has improved. Virtually all the states as of today have utilized, have access.
Has improved too. So from what to what? Where were you and where are you now?
Yeah, before what I said in terms of the matching grant, before we have up to, I think about getting 12 or 15 states that have not accepted accesses. But as of today, all of them have access, and they are putting it into infrastructural use. You understand? And they will say, okay, there is also the issue of curriculum, which even if you put somebody in school, there is no curriculum enough to give him the education he deserves. And that also led us a learning crisis. We all agree with the figure. It says that out of 4, if you have 4 children in Nigeria, 3 out of 4 have poor literacy, numeracy, and even critical thinking. It means that a child can read, but if you ask him what he has read, he wouldn't understand it. Numeracy, when you say 2 plus 2, yes, it's 4, but what does that 4 means? He cannot explain. And simple critical thinking is also lacking. And what is there? We realize that what is major issue there is the issue of the quality of our teachers.
You said,
now moved.
You said as at today,
yeah,
almost all the states, about a few have not.
No, I said all have access there.
All have access.
Yes.
So has the figure for out-of-school children reduced?
Yes, it's reducing. Because when we came, in the last 1 year, when we did our review, we were able to, through the collaboration of Federal Ministry of Education and the state, to return back 2 million children to school, which I've also reported. So thereby reducing the figure.
So,
you understand?
But this 20+ million out-of-school children is a recent figure from UNICEF. It was lower than this before, wasn't it?
But that's what I've said it. But on our own, we know we have returned and we have reduced the figure.
To what?
To almost 18 million now if you remove. Because we have already removed, we have returned back to 2 million. And then we say, okay, the effort really is this thing. Rather than leaving that to the state, let us also at federal level come and join actively. And we set our fund that we can put all the necessary ingredient that is needed for a child to be on school, ranging from his school bag, school fees, books, and other instructional material. And we are going to launch the campaign in September. We are starting with FCT.
From what you've said,
we are already in FCT right now.
Should we go away with
school out of school children who have been registered? That will now be returned to school in September.
If you say you've reduced the figure to about 18 million,
yes,
are you telling us now that when the next figures will be published, probably at the end of this year, it will be less?
It will be less.
18 million.
It will be less.
By whether UNICEF or thereabouts.
Yes, exactly.
Dr. Surino,
yes.
How do you get these data?
We get
from this particularly the 2 million data, that you're talking about.
We get this data
from the states.
We get this data from the state because we are participating actively. I physically witnessed 4 states in enrollment, and it was even shown even in channel television. I was in state. Minister has also gone to many other states. We do it. But what we say now, rather than we go and do it there, we are going to have a very active one.
Okay, just a quick one. The out-of-school children trajectory didn't just happen in one day.
Yeah.
It started over time.
Yes.
Until the point where you are talking about the efforts to reduce it now. What informed it in the first place?
What informed
that degradation to the point that we have 20 million children out of school?
You see, there are so many factors which I was trying to list before. You see, whether we agree or not, there is, I've mentioned, that's why the president came with renewed hope. There is loss of hope by parents.
No, I'm sorry. The reason I'm asking is, what's the assurance we have that when you leave office and this government is no longer in office, we're not going to go back to where we're coming from?
Okay, we are putting strategy that are strong enough. And when I say one of these strategies is to see that how we establish a strong collaboration in whatever we are doing, which is hitherto, right, it wasn't there. For example, we are coming to curriculum discussion. We have just finished, we have just launched our, we are almost rounding up the basic curriculum review, which has not been done for the past 14 years. And we are just about running. By September, we'll present it to the National Council of Education. And once in the approved, we have a latest curriculum that country will depend on, that will address all the gaps that were there. You understand? So if we do that, we have established that strong relationship in the old government with our distance. Thirdly, secondly, we're also trying with the ministerial commitment and political will to also increase the funding of education. Once that is done, we also add this in. And then we're also looking at the infrastructural development too. We want to put on ground things that will ensure sustainability.
Where I'm getting at, I apologize.
Yes.
Where I'm getting at is, we're talking about out-of-school children, not out-of-school youths.
Yes.
I would guess, in my naivety,
yes,
that we're talking about the responsibility of states.
Yes.
We're talking about primary schools. We're talking about secondary schools.
But that's what I mentioned earlier.
Exactly.
Strong collaboration between state and federal government.
What informed the states not doing that before now, so that we don't get back there again? Because if the federal government has to intervene all the time, the Nigerian doesn't care who gets these things done.
Yes, the major issue that arose before now was lack of strong collaboration. Federal government assuming that it has all it takes to develop education, develop a policy, and then send it to the state for state to just accept. You understand? But now we say no, that's not correct. Let's start from the policy. When we develop a concept, we invite all the state commissioners, state universal education board's chairman, and we presented the document to them. We said, okay, go back, critique it. They went and did, and we reconvene again. You understand? We all agree on that. I say, okay, now we are heading towards moving to National Council on Education. So we say now, okay, the document that we have all had during the joint consultative committee meeting, which was held in Yobe some few weeks ago, those documents were presented to the joint consultative committee review, which comprises the permanent secretaries and all the other stakeholders in education, including the development partners, UNICEF, World Bank. And it was looked closely, and all states agree. No state was left out in that decision. And then when we now came, after it was done, just about 4 days ago, we have pre-validation meeting. And all the commissioners were all there, and then it had been shown by Bachelor Oldrich. It was not a room cook meeting, no, it was an open meeting. People came, we further criticize it and look at it, how relevant it is. Can it address the needs of a current 21st century? And we have all agreed that we are heading ahead. And that
What's new in this document?
Well, there are so many new on this document. The our curriculum review is very new one. We look at the issue, we have learning crisis, poor numeracy, poor literacy, and then lack of critical thinking, which is this thing. And we realize that why do we have all these things? We have two major issues. Our foundation learning, early childhood education, care and development was lacking. It was a bill essentially dominated by public, by private settings, such as having nursery school and other this. And majority of Nigerians also go to public schools. So we now say, okay, that must also be introduced in this curriculum. And already we have instructed colleges of education to start training specialists in that field, so that we have a lot of NCE teachers who can now go into a meeting with that. And then luckily for us, we also have other NGOs who are so much interested in early childhood care and development. Even yesterday, I hosted some of them in our group that we are partnering with. And then UNICEF is also giving us the technical support in that direction. Then if we look at also the second aspect that also make it unique is that we know that we have teacher crisis. And in teacher crisis, we have to find a way of addressing it. We say, okay, while we are training, we increase training and retraining. Why can't we also incorporate technology into it so that we can ease our way of doing this and that? And we all witnessed when we launched and we commissioned our digital resource center in Kado. And this is aimed at our training. We have already have the first level of training, which they were in Korea, they received all the training. And we have completely installed all the gadgets we needed for internal training, and training has commenced at the Kado. And we say, okay, the Kado enough is not enough. Let us also have zonal centers. And even just about 5 days ago, the commissioner, the minister and myself were at Karishi Smart School, and we inspected all the this and there. This is also a new development, and also the curriculum has addressed what we are doing. We are saying, no, let's not develop curriculum that we cannot operate. So while we are developing the curriculum, we are also providing a strong ground that curriculum can be translated into action.
Is that talking about the policy? Because I've looked at the National Policy on Education a few times, and I was looking for something futuristic. I couldn't find any.
That's what I'm saying. It's all the review we are doing.
You're talking about the curriculum now.
Yes.
How about the policy?
Yeah, the policy is also being reviewed too. You understand? We are not doing
what is to be included in that? Because a good number of, as I said, I looked at it just about a year or two ago. I looked at it at about a year or two ago, and I'm looking at anything from.
No, if you look at the policy,
not a single mention, to the best of my knowledge, of anything technology.
No. Look at the 2013 national policy. Look at the 2013 national policy.
I looked at the 2014 document, sir.
There's technology into it. And we also say, I quite agree. For a very long time, a lot were not reviewed, which I've admitted right from the word go. And I told you we are reviewing. For example, look at the craft and trade. That has not been reviewed for over 15 years now. And that's why we're having problems. Our vocational schools are dying, everything are dying. But in about 4 weeks ago, we have finished that. And as soon as in the next few weeks, the publication will finish and we'll develop it and we'll start using it.
Sorry,
and that's why even, to match it also, even for the vocational aspect, we have to go and start constructing vocational institution in our state.
Well, Honorable Minister, I have to, say that a lot really rests on the shoulder of the Ministry of Education, because we're talking essentially about the future of this country.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy that you highlighted the protests as a signal, as one of the signals that really brings, will I say, the urgency of what needs to be done in the area of education to the forefront.
Fast track what we are doing.
Yes, because, I mean, a lot of people were bothered about what happened with the protest, the fact that children were involved in that protest, and a lot of them not very aware of what it was that was happening around them. So I know a number of issues, a number of things have also happened that has the potential to be able to address this. I'll give you an instance. LG autonomy. The primary school education is supposed to be domiciled with local governments, even though generally we know that state governments have taken over largely. According to them, they're the ones who sometimes pay salaries of teachers, etc., etc. But essentially, primary school education, as designed by our own constitution and how we operate it, is supposed to be taken care of by local governments. With this local government autonomy, which has now been approved by has been I don't know now, I'm looking for the right word, but maybe I should go with approved, by the Supreme Court of Nigeria, saying that local governments should be able to get their monies directly, financial autonomy. Are you finding a way to collaborate, or do you think that local government should not be involved in this discussion?
You see, this is what I said earlier, and I quite make it possible. When I mentioned 4 levels of our consideration to develop where we are now, I mentioned education as a constitutional provision, being in the concurrent list, realizing that local government has a lot to do. If you say even local government has the most responsibility to do, because averagely, Nigeria has a lot of younger age group. If you say 0 to 15 constitute almost 45% of population of Nigeria, of over 200 million Nigerians, you are right. And this at the age of group of what? Primary school level. And I quite agree it's the responsibility of the local government to provide primary education. But also at national level, we have responsibility to assure quality assurance and also give our support. And it's also in that regard that we're giving the scope, going to even develop, to construct classes in primary school, and then equip it, and then hand it over to the local government to set.
You're constructing classes? The Ministry of Education is constructing classes?
As a supporting state through the University of Education, we have to do that. We have the mandate to do it. We have the mandate
through
to
your
do
back?
It. Yes. We have the mandate to do it because it's a support. Yeah. We also have the listen.
Is that where the help and support is really needed?
Because
support, one of the things you talked about.
I mentioned the area of collaboration.
Yeah, you mentioned data.
We are coming to the teacher training. That will also have
just before you go to the teacher training, because you've talked about how UBEC is UBEC has the mandate to build classrooms or support, as the case might be.
Yeah.
And you mentioned data as part of the DOTS project that you're looking at overall. What data has compelled you to say that the investment that you really need should be around building of classrooms?
I didn't say only that. I didn't say that. The data that shows that there are a lot of infrastructural defects. For now, by UBEC data, we require over 200,000 classes to meet the demand of our district. That's the one we need. If you go back and look at the existing ones also, we have a lot of infrastructural decay. You understand? So it means we have 2 issues here. Renovating and rehabilitating the ones we have, and then adding the ones that needed to be. And why is this also? These classes are very important. We have 20 million out of school, and we are trying to massively move that school. If you bring them in a school that doesn't have class, it doesn't make sense. So that's why we also have to go pari passu. While we are enrolling, we are also providing necessary
this infrastructure development you talk about. Federal government colleges are directly under your purview as Minister of State.
Yes.
What's going on there? Because a lot of them are really in bad shape.
In the next few weeks to come, I assure you go round. Virtually all the 115 federal unity colleges and government colleges that we have will see a massive infrastructural development.
You use the word massive.
Yes, massive. In terms of renovation, construction, security, like street lights, many others. That I assure you. I hardly said what I don't have confidence in it. But President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has given a lot of decent directives, and it's also back with funds.
Because I remember the former Minister of Education, Dr. Ezekiel Silishi, they tried to do a lot to see how can unity schools just be back on stream in terms of what it was before, such that the alumni associations were the ones who are now trying to even see, can they take them over? But now that you're saying this, it means that, look, they don't need to worry. Government will be up and running this time.
No, you see, education, cannot say this thing. There are education, apart from statutory funding, the acts of UBEC, the act of many institutions provided for collaboration and support. So I must say that we are grateful to the Alumni Association. They have contributed in terms of infrastructural development in our institution. They have also contributed in terms of even going ahead to provide instructional materials, in terms of also employing teachers in the school. And already now we have the list of all those teachers being employed by the PTA, which we are working with the head of service office to ensure that we get them transformed into civil servants of the Federal Republic of Nigeria so that they can continue to teach our children. But it still does not mean that we have enough, because we still have a funding gap. And there are reasons for that. Mr. President has the willingness to make education funding as the best. But there are other core factors that must be addressed in order education to stand on its own. Security is very vital.
I was just about to ask you about the Safe Schools initiative. Where are we with that?
That is okay. Security is very vital. So we are lucky that the president, because of his political will, we are second to the best. And we are sure if the security improves by the political will of the president, education will lead in terms of budgetary allocation. Safe School Initiative is a concept that is there and is being working, and we have worked tirelessly to ensure that we have repositioned it.
Okay.
We realize that there are defects in the system we made in terms of Safe School Initiative.
There's this question from, pardon me to jump in. It's Samuel Olaron that he says we should ask you. He's a staff in one of the FUCs. He was promoted 3 years ago, but yet to receive the promotion arrears, even when he's about to go for another promotion. Not just him, he says, for a lot of other people.
You see, I would say that we met a lot of issues in terms of arrears, of which, luckily by virtue of my being a unionist and also heading a lot of negotiation at the Federal House of Representatives when I was there, and I think even by coming here, I've had so many meetings in terms of negotiation to see how we can address that issues. Those issues were tabled before even the Federal Executive Council, and we have a directives for a four interministerial committee, budget, education, finance, so that we can come up with all those claims that are still pending, so that we can present it to Mr. President for consideration and solving those problems. So there are issues of arrears we met, and we are addressing them quite all right.
Okay. So we can't even look at the constitutional provision in section 18.
What?
Section 18, subsection 3 says government shall strive to eradicate illiteracy, and to this end government shall, as and when practicable, provide free, compulsory and universal primary education, free university education, and free adult literacy programs. So we can't even talk about all of those ones when you are still looking for funds, right?
You see, the issue is that the Constitution is made in such a way that it's that's the keyword there, when practicable.
Exactly.
That's the key.
And thank you for going there. Just a second. Just a second.
Yes.
This is the 1999 Constitution.
This is what I'm saying.
It's 25 years old. So
working.
25 years after, it's still not practicable.
Mr. President, we are working to make it practicable.
And so when we talk about government, it goes back to what I always say about over-centralizing issues. Yeah. Now there is financial autonomy for local government administrations.
So it's not
Don't they have a role? Don't they have a role to play? What role do states have to ensure that this provision of government, free, compulsory, and universal primary, it's not that it's never been done.
They have a role to play, and we are collaborating with them, and that's why I told you.
Okay.
We as authority in the education, we don't underrate the role of local government. And we have never developed a policy that local government is not part of it.
All right, well, we're winding down, Minister. So
yes,
tell
sir.
us, I mean, notwithstanding what your ministry is doing now, but we've seen what has happened before, and chances are that that neglect could happen again, probably when your time is over. So is there any consideration, if it doesn't exist already, such that your ministry might suggest further, look, there are several people, institutions, groups out there, companies who want to do something about funding education. Yes. Is there a way you can, if they do participate, at least you elevate that conversation and make it serious that, yes, tax breaks and things like that, so that people can come in and play roles in education?
You see, as I mentioned earlier, the education field is open to a lot of collaborations. And we are looking at how can we even make it easier for us. The ease of working business in education is the most what is needed. And we have the backing of Mr. President to go into that. You understand? And that's why we said government alone cannot do it. We have issues of access, even, look at it. And that's why even I was here one time I said, the Minister of Education had look, we have a lot of candidates qualified to go for institution and they hardly go. What is there? The space is lacking. And some people even go across the border in a few months to come and come with a degree. So we said that that is not acceptable. So we said, let's open up the educational field. And that's why last time when I was here, I developed the concept of transnational education. And as of today, the National University Commission has gone into a lot of discussion with so many foreign universities who are ready to come and invest in our educational field, give the quality of education similar to their own, but in mind taking our local content and requirement so that we can move ahead and provide our distance. So we are open to a lot of distance. Not only that, even business people can come. We develop a strong public-partner
there has to be some sort of policy.
Yes, we have.
So they can latch on to.
We have the policy. I said transnational education. Transnational education is a policy of the federal government as approved by PEC. We also have
transnational education?
Yes, transnational education.
What does that mean?
Transnational education is a system of education whereby you can cross your boundary to come and collaborate with another nation in providing education. And it arises because the International Labour Organization has considered education as an exportable product. So leveraging on that, we developed a concept that you can come. If Cambridge University, well, I think the first university that came is almost established in 1760 in US.
Yeah, I'm talking about Nigerian businesses. Not
yes, they are coming here. Even the Nigerian ones. How many, as of today, we have more private tertiary institutions than government.
Okay, so
we have more private institutions. This is said we have opened up the way.
So,
Mr. Family, if you have the resources, we'll make your way easy. We'll also assist you to have your own private.
Okay, I hear you. But so, what is your target? I mean, you 1 year in office for the ministers. Yes. Of course, you know that lots of Nigerians don't think a lot of them have done anything as to why should they continue as ministers. So, in the event that you continue up until next 3 years, what is the target of your ministry? What do you want to achieve before leaving office?
What we want to target is to have a qualitative education that will give us a candidate who is morally sound, armed with knowledge,
Minister,
and then have skills.
That sounds political.
No, it's not political. It's not political. This is what we are working for. Quality of education is in the door. Teacher training and teacher training. Increasing the capacity of teachers. Moving students back to school.
How many teachers do you want to employ in the next 3 years?
Not in the next years. So we are working with the head of service. In the next few weeks to come, we'll get the waiver and everything to employ 3,500 teachers for our unity school. If you go to we have emphasized to the state governors through the Nigerian governors and the need of human resource of education, because that's the best you can have. Put all the gadgets. When there is no person to manage, it's of no use. And states are now recruiting. Kano is recruiting over 4,000 islands. KB also have started recruiting over 2,000. And many other states, Lagos State is recruiting. Bachelor states are recruiting. Because you realize that, look, for the foundation of this country, education must receive.
Do you think we should do away with quota system in education?
You see, when you say to do away with the quota system in education, I would like that everybody must be given the chance to attend the highest institutions. But you see, when you are working with data, you have to also prioritize area of intervention. For example, if you say Yobe State have 70% out of school children, and then you said another state, DC, has only 5% out of school children. If you intervene in the 5%, you have to intervene. But if you said you give them equal intervention, your figure will not change.
Well, you spoke about quality education.
Yes.
Qualitative education. So if those things don't come via merit, how do we then project? Because it keeps away several people who are qualified because of the quota system. They can't get in.
No, it's not. It's not this. You see, you look at the concept. There is merit. There is catchment areas. There are so many this when it comes to this. And we all quite agree that we have paucity of this thing. The space there available cannot absorb everybody. And that's why we said we are bringing another concept, which is a new introduction. This to provide more access. And most importantly, the major deterrent is poverty that is pervading society in terms of access to tertiary education. And we must say kudos to Mr. President for approving the student loan scheme, which is performing wonderfully well.
We have to thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much.
So, but I'm hoping that at least we'll be able to look at the data of your performance moving forward subsequently and see how that impacts everybody else. But thank you for coming on, and all the best to you.
Thank you.
Business Morning on Sunrise, it comes up now.